Today we're going to be taking a look at the Impreza 2.5 RS. This is a two-door coupe that was in production from 1998 to 2001. Based off the first generation GM Impreza, the 2.5 RS is a unique version of the widely popular Impreza family of cars that began to cement Subaru's place in the world of rallying motorsport. The Boxer EJ25 engine is at the heart of this Impreza, with the car receiving a couple of key upgrades to the 1999 model. This EJ25-1 version is a naturally aspirated, single overhead cam, 16-valve, 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine that produces 165 horsepower and a welcome 162 foot-pounds of torque. This engine is a slightly better version of the dual overhead cam EJ25D engine, as Subaru swiftly addressed the head gasket issues that 2.5 RS owners were having in the late 90s. The power is put down by a reliable all-wheel drive system that was fairly new to the North American market for smaller vehicles at the time. Of course, this does put the car at 2,825 pounds for its weight, but it can be argued that the trade-off for this weight is ultimately worth it, at least for a little bit of daily use. I will point out that the car doesn't have a limited slip differential, as it's not an STI. At least that's the case in real life. The transmission in-game is a proper 5-speed manual that pushes the car to its top speed of 124 miles per hour. This isn't bad considering that this car from 1999 has an all-wheel drive system and a medium-sized spoiler. An interesting and somewhat rhetorical question would be if the 1998 RS has any difference in top speed, as its engine has a dual overhead cam over the single overhead cam in the 1999 version. Have a look at some of the differing in-game values here. In real life, the torque figure actually exceeds the 165 horsepower, as its torque production is closer to 167 foot-pounds of torque at 5,600 RPM. One interesting thing to note is that the car is unbelievably rare in real life, as Subaru only made around 14,000 units. Like most Japanese cars, its value isn't easy to figure out, as these cars have been heavily modified worldwide. Where I live, the cars in decent stock condition roughly sell for $5,000. The Impreza 2.5 RS is rated as a D4 car in-game at bone stock, which I can confidently say it's a pretty fair rating. This car isn't great on the tarmac for motorsport racing when put next to the other D-class cars in the amateur events, where you will more than likely be racing the car. Although the car is quick off the line, it can't keep up with the other cars that have more horsepower on tap. This is why my ideal setup for the car is to have the modified engine tuning, intake, exhaust, wide-rated tires, and Club Sport weight reduction. The stock tires on the car really do let this car down, and you can immediately appreciate the added control the wide-rated tires give you, which pairs very well with this car's all-wheel drive system. The added power isn't much, but you will notice that you don't have to deal with fighting for a higher position in races against other drivers in the events early on in the game. As I'm sure you can expect, the car improves in pretty much all aspects with the weight reduction, but it's really awesome to get that feeling out of the car even without the rest of the upgrades applied. The cherry on top for me is the much lighter weight of this car that I didn't suspect that I could squeeze in for this car to stay at a D1 rating. In an arbitrary race, I set a stock lap time of 108.921 at a small track like the Coupe circuit and a 235.373 at a medium-sized Blue Mountain Raceway circuit. In the same situation, I set a lap time of 105.318 at the Coupe circuit and a 227.196 at the Blue Mountain Raceway with my ideal setup. The car's lap times improved by 3.603 seconds at the Coupe circuit and 8.177 seconds at the Blue Mountain Raceway in comparison to the arbitrary stock laps. Past the difference in lap times, the car is a lot more enjoyable to race on the track with the ideal setup. Now, it's time for the hot lap. So how does the car perform now? It's a little surprising for me to say that the car feels so different from the stock car if you consider the rather moderate upgrades that were installed. The engine really loves the extra horsepower, as you can tell that it's woken up while going flat out next to a similarly spec car in the upper end of the D-Class rating. I was curious to see if the car could benefit from a roll cage to improve on the stiffness of the car and overall control feeling, but the option for adding the roll cage isn't available for this iteration of the Impreza in-game. Past that, the car would benefit from slightly better brakes and suspension, but I decided that it wasn't worth it after racing the car with the upgrades that I recommended. It's more than enough, and I'm very happy with the results on the podium. At this point, it's apparent that I like the 2.5 RS, and I personally feel like it's an underrated car, especially in real life when compared to the higher-end WRX STI variants of the Impreza. If you're not given the car for free, like most people get in this game, then you can consider just buying the 2004 Impreza WRX STI or the 22B Impreza WRX STI, as it is still available for sale instead of upgrading the lower-end 2.5 RS Impreza. Either one of these cars should give you a hassle-free podium finish in exclusive events like the Impreza vs Lancer Face-Off series. The nice thing with 2.5 RS and other similar cars is that they are versatile for any kind of racing, whether it be in-game or real life. I do think that I've seen one of these cars a long time ago, but I can't be entirely sure if it was a proper 2.5 RS because the parts on these JDM cars are easily interchangeable. This concludes my 6th review on the channel. I must confess that at this time, the car's looks have grown on me. Subaru won't make another Impreza like this going forward, and its rarity still blows my mind considering what the car ultimately is. These cars have become very popular among Impreza enthusiasts, as this specific car has the ability to become a fairly quick and cheap two-door version of the higher-end WRX and STI Imprezas, giving it the RSTI moniker. I do think those cars are pretty sweet because they're adequately lightweight and obviously maintain their all-wheel drive system in an exciting two-door form factor. This was my first time driving the 2.5 RS Impreza in-game, and although it wasn't particularly noteworthy until it received the upgrades, I will say that I wouldn't mind having one of these cars in real life, at least at this current point and time in my life. To my knowledge, this is the only game that has the car in the Forza Motorsport Series. I hope you guys like the review for the car, and I hope to keep delivering good reviews for you guys, so please let me know your thoughts on the video and how they can be improved going forward. Join me next time when I'll be taking a look at another car. Thank you for watching the review. Have a wonderful night.